Right now at 5, 2 former staff members at an animal shelter accuse it of horrible things.
And we have lots of heat to go around for everybody, and the hot forecast will have all the details.
And authorities in Joplin respond to a suspicious package call from a law firm.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane, standing in for the vacationing Chris Warner this morning. It's been a toasty one. You know, we promised yesterday it was going to be hot, and it got up to 100 degrees yesterday.
And we got a whole week of that.
I know, and today we're going to be a little bit hotter, and then it just kind of gets more and more hot as we go through the week. But of course, right now this morning, things are not looking too bad. In fact, we have a few showers on radar off towards the east in Lawrence and eastern Jasper County this morning. Let's zoom in on some of that activity and show you what's going on. Just basically east of Jasper and Carthage, over towards Sarcoxie and Mount Vernon, just a few isolated sprinkles and showers. Nothing really major going on with these showers, as we're expecting mostly sunny skies today across the area. You can see on the UV index, it's going to be very high again today, 10, which means about 10 to 15 minutes of burn time. So watch out and make sure that you have the hat, the sunglasses, the sunscreen, and find the shade if you can. This morning, already at this hour, we still have temperatures in the 80s. That just kind of goes to show you how hot it is. Right now, Independence, the cool spot, if you want to call 78 degrees at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, cool, 82 in Anderson and 83 in Grove. Today, we're also going to be dealing with the winds too. So it's going to be like a blast furnace out there with temperatures in the 90s, upper 90s, around 100 degrees, with winds around 25 to 30 miles per hour. And then as we go through tomorrow, the winds are going to still continue to be up there at around 20 to 25 miles per hour, and a little bit lesser tomorrow, but still it's going to be warm and breezy. So the high today, 101. So it's going to be hot. Temperature about 95 at lunchtime, 99 at 2 o'clock, 100 at 4 p.m. And looking down the lane, the heat stays with us. In fact, the heat dome is going to build along with the humidity, low rain chances, and maybe a little bit cooler late next week. And of course, I'll have all details on that in just a bit. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Sam. Unnecessary euthanasia and improper disposal of animals. Those are only 2 of the accusations former employees of a Coffeyville animal shelter have against the current Coffeyville Friends of Animal director. The images are blurry because they might be disturbing for some people. It shows multiple dogs and at least 1 kitten decomposing inside an unplugged freezer. According to former employees of the Coffeyville Animal Shelter, the bodies were there for about 8 months, even when the shelter's incinerator was working. They accused their former boss, Oksana Watley, of asking them to dump a euthanized dog. They also say that animals were euthanized unnecessarily.
She said, I think I might just have Cody, and could you help Cody take him to the river? And that's how she said it. She mumbled, like mouthed the words, whispered it, and I just kind of stared at her, and I like, you did not just ask me that.
KOAM reached out to the Kansas Department of Agriculture, which is responsible for licensing animal shelters in the state. They said they received complaints about the Coffeyville Friends of Animals and that the Animal Facility Inspection Program is following up after the established complaint process. We also tried reaching out to the city of Coffeyville, but have not heard back from them. Authorities conduct a drug raid within the boundaries of the Quapaw Nation. On Tuesday, the Quapaw Nation Marshal Service executed warrants at a residence on East 15 Road. Officers seized 1.5 pounds of fentanyl and cocaine, 6 firearms, numerous magazines, and $3,200. One man, Ezekiel James Patton, was arrested on a felony warrant for offenses that occurred within the Quapaw Nation reservation boundaries, including felony possession with intent to distribute and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Investigators anticipate filing more charges as the investigation advances. Authorities arrest a Parsons, Kansas woman on multiple drug charges. The Parsons Police Department conducted a probationary search of a residence owned by Trinity Dawn Pratt on Monday. When officers arrived, they discovered methamphetamine and drug paraphernalia associated with the sales and distribution of narcotics. Trinity Pratt, who was on probation for prior drug charges, was arrested and is now facing additional charges. Authorities arrest a Springfield man for attempting to burglarize several homes. On Sunday, Springfield patrol officers responded to a residential call in progress. Victims of the incident say that the suspect, Gene Ferguson, broke into and entered their residence wearing only a straw hat. Victims claim when they awoke, Ferguson attempted to sexually assault them. Ferguson was arrested for first-degree burglary, possession of a controlled substance, and felony stealing. Joplin police respond to a suspicious package call from a law firm Tuesday afternoon. The business and nearby residences were evacuated from that area. The Springfield Fire Department bomb squad arrived around 5:30 p.m. and used X-ray equipment to investigate the package. The scene was cleared to all traffic at 6:15 p.m. Belton, Missouri authorities are searching for two robbers who assaulted an ATM technician and got away with a lot of cash. Surveillance images show the robbers who assaulted the technician at the Bank of America ATM on North Avenue in Belton around 10:30 Tuesday morning. Both are black males, one with a heavy build and one very thin. Police say they got around $200,000. They drove a newer model silver Jeep Compass with a stolen license plate on the rear. ATM cash boxes were later discovered in a nearby apartment complex dumpster. For another look at these surveillance images, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A former Commerce, Oklahoma police officer is charged after allegedly damaging property at a Knoll, Missouri bar. The incident happened on July 8th. At that time, 32-year-old Christopher Chase of Miami worked for the Commerce Police Department. Authorities say Chase was at Shadow Lake, a bar in Knoll, when he threw a bar stool across the club against a wall near employees. Police were called and Chase was arrested. Authorities also say while in the patrol car, Chase began striking his head against the car and needed to be restrained. A week later, Chase resigned from his position at the department. Chase is now charged with first-degree property damage, fourth-degree assault, trespassing, and resisting arrest. Community Health Center of Northeast Oklahoma hosts a community market and resource fair. It gave folks the chance to stop by and get healthy food from the food bank of Eastern Oklahoma. Along with the food, there were also resources for others to learn about what the area offers.
So we're just a regular doctor's office that is federally funded, and so we're able to provide care to those that don't have insurance, or if they're lower income, we're able to do a sliding scale basis.
The fair was at the First Christian Church in Miami. Joplin School Board on Tuesday approved the addition of a crosswalk near the high school. The crosswalk will be added to 20th Street adjacent to the school. Officials say the safety of students crossing that street has been a concern for some time.
The natural progression from the front of the school is across the sidewalk, and then the sidewalk changes over to a driveway that comes to our Performing Arts Center that you can walk to the end of, and then it crosses over to actually what is the alley just on the west side of Sunny Jim Ball Field.
The project is expected to cost more than $38,000. The district will pay half of that cost, with the city covering the other half. The board also approved upgrades to the district's security systems following 3 break-ins at district facilities in the past 4 months. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, it was Media Day in the MIAA. We'll have what Pitt State and MSSU had to say with Sam in sports. Plus, love that oat milk? And then you might want to know that it could not be as nutritious as dairy milk. And we'll take a look at how hot it's supposed to get and if there's any relief on the way with Sam in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Join us at the Cherokee County Fair.
All right, the MIAA Football Media Day took place yesterday in Kansas City, and it's the first time that we've had a while before we've heard from Pitt State and Missouri Southern programs, and the Gorillas are stressing their 2023 motto of all forward.
If you've ever been whitewater rafting, and like any good father would, you take your kids whitewater rafting when you take a trip back to Montana, and the captain in the back that's leading that boat when you're about to go through really rough waters is all forward, and everybody rowing the boat at the same time. And so I think regardless of where we are, regardless of a preseason ranking, regardless how the season ended, I think you have the opportunity to come together and we're all moving forward in the same direction.
And for people like safety Mike Lacey, 2023 is also about enjoying one last go-around as a Gorilla football player.
Coming from a bigger city and, feeling that atmosphere, and then coming to a smaller town when, the emphasis is football and how the town goes is how the football, goes. It's a different feeling, man. But the best part about it is that town is really family, and they support you in everything you do. And
meanwhile, Missouri Southern is emphasizing continual progress in year 3 under head coach Atiba Bradley.
When I took the job here, the mentality in the locker room, the winning mentality was a minority. And now moving 2 years past that, we finally got that to be the majority. Everybody is hungry. Everybody understands their role in the process.
I'd say it's just more of a complete team than what it's been in the past. And just a lot, the team's very tight right now. I mean, there's guys like me that have been here for a lot of different stuff, like 4 different offense coordinators and all that. So it's just kind of like, it just feels like we're playing for each other. We're not playing for our own individual reasons.
Both the Gorillas and the Lions begin their 2023 campaign with home games in just over a month on Thursday, August 31st. Now in baseball, the Outlaws earned the night off the other day because of their winning division. That set up a one-game divisional playoff against Jefferson City, where the winner advances to the Mink League Championship. Jeff City strikes right away, scoring 3 runs before the Outlaws record an out in the top of the first. More trouble in the second. First, Luke Matchner slides in just ahead of the tag to steal second. And same at bat, Eli Hill tees off a pitch to the deepest part of the ballpark, and it gets out for a 2-run homer. It's 5-0 Jefferson City. Struggles would be just as bad for Joplin at the plate. Bottom of the second, Jarrett Nelson bounces one to third. Great stop by the Jeff City third baseman Justin Riviera, gets the out at first, and it's still 5-0. Top of the fifth, runner on second, Luke Melton lines one out to center, just falls out of the glove of Garrett Chun. That's the kind of night it was for the Outlaws. That makes runners on second and third. For this chopper to third base, Jared Lazo throws to first, so it's an RBI ground out. Later in that inning, the pitch gets away, and the Renegades take a 7-0 lead as Melton scores. The Outlaws wouldn't get a hit until the 6th inning, and their season ends in the divisional round. Still to come, Chester Zoo in England celebrates the birth of a tiny deer that stands only 6 inches tall. Plus, we're going to have a check of the 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Sign up required.
All right, we had a beautiful day yesterday, a little bit on the hot side, but of course that's typical for late July. And right now we're starting off pretty mild in Indigo Sky Casino and Resort down in Seneca, Missouri, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Yesterday we did make it up to the century mark after starting out at a low of 83 degrees. That's not really much of a low, well above the normals of 90 and 70. And of course we're way behind on the rainfall for the month as well as the year, about 10.5 inches so far just this year. We do have some showers on radar this morning, mainly down in Lawrence County and also northern Barry County right now around Monette, also around Crane, but that is about it. Instead, we have warm temperatures across the entire area this morning, already in the 80s, 82 in Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, 83 in Lamar, 84 in Carthage, and 80 in Cassville, and that's seeing those southwesterly winds pumping up that heat across the area. And when you factor in the dew point later on today, this is what it's going to feel like. It's going to feel like 107 in Lamar, 108 in Nevada, Stockton, also in Fort Scott, 103 in Iola. Just a brutal day. As a result, we are under a heat advisory, and also we are in an alert day as well. That's going to continue into tomorrow too, as heat index values are still going to be well over 100 degrees, 109 in Nevada. So as I mentioned, we are in our heat advisory for southeastern Kansas, southwestern Missouri, northeastern Oklahoma. Now in southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, it goes until 9 o'clock tonight. but in far eastern Kansas and southwest Missouri it goes until Friday. So I wouldn't be surprised if it also is expanded into Oklahoma and Kansas or the rest of our Kansas counties as we go into tomorrow as well. Precip chances are going to be low, very low. In fact, any rain that does fall is mainly going to be up towards the north and east, where maybe a quarter of an inch with an isolated shower might be possible, but that's about it. The big story is this big ridge of high pressure that's been sitting over New Mexico is going to be making its way towards the east over the next few days, and as a result, the storm track is going to go to the north, and that's going to keep us dry and hot and humid, and that's going to continue right on through the week. And as the high pressure just kind of meanders around across our area, the heat dome just continues. So temperatures today are going to be rising up into the upper 90s to around 100 degrees once again. Then as we go into tonight, we're going to see lows in the upper 70s to around 80. Then tomorrow, again, over 100 degrees, maybe an isolated storm down in Oklahoma. And then as we go into Friday morning, again, mild with lows in the 70s. And then Friday afternoon, you guessed it, more heat, temperatures up close to 100 degrees yet again. And then as we go into Saturday morning, lows in the upper 70s across the area. How about the next 7 days? Well, we're going to be seeing temperatures at 100 degrees for the next 3 days. So that's a heat alert day. And the heat continues all the way into the early part of next week. And then as we go into Thursday, a slight chance of showers with a high of 97. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
At Ashley.
Topping Health Watch this morning, if you or someone you know is taking Ozempic and Wegovy for weight loss and diabetes, listen up. Doctors are seeing some cases of stomach paralysis in patients who took the popular medications. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has gotten similar reports. Ozempic and Wegovy both utilize the drug semaglutide. It mimics a natural hormone that slows the passage of food through the stomach, helping patients feel fuller longer. Some doctors are concerned the drugs may cause or exacerbate stomach paralysis in some patients, which can lead to excessive vomiting. And the plant-based milk market is blowing up, with ingredients often marketed as replacements for traditional cow's milk. But according to a new study, not all of those plant milk options are fortified to meet the levels of nutritional ingredients in dairy. The unpublished study analyzed nutrition labels and ingredients for 233 plant-based milk products from 23 different manufacturers. Researchers found only 28 of the drinks had as much or more protein, vitamin D, and calcium as cow's milk. State laws restricting care for transgender youth has made it more difficult for them to obtain that care. A new study shows half of all adolescents in the U.S. now live more than an hour from the nearest clinic that provides gender-affirming care. The average was about 30 minutes prior to at least 20 states enacting policies restricting that type of health care. The largest increase in travel times are found in Florida, Texas, and Utah. Gender-affirming care is considered crucial by the Department of Health and Human Services. Groups including the American Medical Association and American Academy of Pediatrics agree. From eczema to hay fever, kids with allergic conditions might be on track to develop others down the road. Researchers looked at the electronic medical records of nearly 220,000 children in the U.S. who were screened between 1999 and 2020. The results showed a trend referred to as the allergic march, a natural progression of allergic-related diseases from infancy through childhood. Eczema is the first in line, with its telltale rashes and dry patches popping up in over 10% of children studied, usually around 4 months of age. Then, at age 13 months, the study found peak onsets of food allergies and asthma in young kids, with asthma occurring in more than 1 in 5 children. Federal law already requires insurance companies to provide equal access to medical and mental health benefits, but the Biden administration says restrictive insurance policies make it hard for people to get the mental health coverage that they may need. Yesterday, President Biden announced new rules designed to make sure insurance companies are complying with the law, while also expanding the number of healthcare providers. Skylar Henry has more details from the White House.
President Biden says insurance carriers need to do more to provide mental health coverage.
For all those brave enough and strong enough to seek help, and I mean that, brave enough and strong enough to seek help, We have to do better.
Biden and many advocates say insurance policies restrict patient access to the care they need.
In 2020, less than half of all adults with mental illness diagnosis receive care for it. Less than half. For children, the number's even worse.
He announced new rules which would require insurers to study whether their plans are following the law and make changes where necessary. They're meant to end restrictive policies such as prior authorization requirements and smaller networks of providers, which limit patients' abilities to seek help.
People with insurance are twice as likely to have to go out of network for mental health care compared to physical health care.
The pandemic itself was a national stressor.
The American Psychological Association says in the months following the pandemic, demands for more mental health services are up.
So then the ripple effect of something like that, does that then require or call for more mental health professionals?
We really need to look at how mental health care is delivered, period. We need to have access to specialty care when people's symptoms and struggles overwhelm their capacity to cope. We also need to figure out mechanisms to get care to individuals before they get to the breaking point. And we don't really have a good system for that either.
But experts say the administration's push is a step in the right direction. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The new rules won't take effect for at least 60 days while the public weighs in on them. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
It's going to be another hot day across the area, and it's going to be with us for quite a while. Of course, I'll have all the details when we come back, when the KOAM Morning News continues.
Right now at 5:30, some kids in Jasper County got to experience what it was like to be a member of law enforcement.
And the heat just continues to build across our area. I'll let you know how hot it's going to get this week in your forecast.
And a local Children's Miracle Network champion beats the heat by making her own sweet treat.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:31. I'm Tanya Bach.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane, filling in for the vacationing Chris Warner, who picked a perfect week to go if he likes hot weather.
Yeah, well, maybe he found something cool to do on his days
I hope
off.
so. Maybe like a movie theater or something like that. It's going to be hot out there. It was hot yesterday, again hot this morning and this afternoon. Right now, we do have a few showers on radar, so that's good. Over towards the east in the Mount Vernon and Monette area this morning, but that's about it. Not a lot of shower activity. A lot of this is probably not even reaching the ground, just a few sprinkles out there. We are going to see lots of sunshine hitting the ground today, that's for sure, and so we have a very high heat index, around 10 to 15 minutes, so make sure that you are taking the precautions out there. Temperatures this morning are already in the 80s. If that kind of shows you where we're headed, we're going to see temperatures rising into the 80s, 90s, and close to 100 degrees across the entire area. Then you add to that, the winds are going to be around 25 to 30 miles per hour today, so it's going to be like a blast furnace out there. And not only today, but tomorrow, the winds are going to be staying up as well, so it's going to feel very, very toasty, to say the least. And then as we go into the next 7 days, we're going to see temperatures again near 100 degrees. Your day planner looks like this: 101 today, around 95 at lunch, 99 at 2, and 4 o'clock, 100 degrees. And taking a look down the lane, the heat just continues to build with increasing humidity as well. Low rain chances. Finally, we might get a little bit of a break and a little bit cooler weather as we head towards the latter part of next week. And of course, I'll have more details on that in just a little bit. Tanya?
Thanks, Sam. On Tuesday, some area kids learned a bit about what it's like to be a member of law enforcement. The Jasper County Sheriff's Office held a junior deputy camp. It started with demonstrations from K-9 officers, and then the junior deputies went to the shooting range and received lessons on responsible firearm use and gun safety.
It's just to help kids to understand, what it is that law enforcement really does. Kind of give them a glimpse of some of the things that actually occur, and not just what they see on TV, but to get an idea.
The day ended with a demonstration of the dangers of driving while impaired with the help of drunk goggles. They also learned how to perform field sobriety tests. Veterans in Mount Vernon, Missouri are experiencing Christmas a little early this year. The Mount Vernon VA, in collaboration with Carthage VFW Post 2590, as well as other organizations, put on a Christmas in July for veterans. Santa, Mrs. Claus, and many elves were all in attendance to make sure all veterans got the gifts they deserved.
Well, the people that run this is the ones that really need a blessing, because they look out for us and take care for us of medical needs and that. So that's where my biggest accomplishment comes from, thanking them.
VFW, in collaboration with other organizations, was able to raise more than $6,000 to make yesterday's festivities possible. A local Children's Miracle Network champion is beating the heat by making a summer treat. Freeman Health System partnered with Dairy Queen to allow CMN champion Layla Harrell to make her own blizzard. It's part of their Miracle Treat Day. The ice cream Layla created, mint chocolate chip.
People are donated to Children's Miracle Network so then more kids can get service dogs that they need. And it's just inspiring, really, to see, like, hey, someone with chronic illness can do this. Like, other people can do great things too. Like, it's just a really cool experience.
Layla was diagnosed type 1 diabetes at a young age. This coming Thursday, $1 from every Dairy Queen Blizzard purchase is donated to Freeman Health System. Donations like these help Layla receive Nico, her service dog, who's trained to sense Layla's diabetic-induced ebbs and flows. It also allows Layla to enjoy tasty treats like these. Vacation Bible School at St. Paul Church is hosting an event that's out of this world. It's called Stellar Shine Jesus Light. The event features a lot of simulated space-like activities, such as a crash landing on the moon and other science projects. One of the main focuses on Tuesday, how to handle situations where people do not get along.
Second day, our theme today was when people don't get along, shine Jesus light, and it talks about being harmonious, living harmoniously together. I hope that in a society that's so full of division and so full of culture wars, that we can learn to get along even when we disagree. And the kids do that. Maybe they could teach us adults a thing or two about how to get along and be harmonious, live harmoniously together.
Vacation Bible School continues until Friday at noon. Cherokee County Fair is underway in Columbus, Kansas. It gives young farmers and ranchers the chance to showcase their livestock. On Tuesday, there was a dog showmanship and obedience showcase and the pedal pull. There were also Girl Scouts at the fair to sell their treats and help prepare for the fair. To them, the social aspect is what makes the fair fun.
Just get to spend time with my friends, enjoy, and I also get to go a lot of places, so, and serve people and just do all this stuff.
Of course, the fair is not just about the animals. People also enjoyed inflatables and a pride carnival. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, the Biden administration pays tribute to Emmett Till and his mother some 70 years later after Till's murder.
Plus, Russia retaliates on alleged drone attacks by attacking historic sites in Ukraine. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first here's a live look from Lebec County Fair in Oswego, Kansas.
An 88-year-old woman died outside Palermo, Sicily because doctors were not able to reach her due to raging wildfires. The heat is priming the landscape for fires in Palermo. More than 40 fires broke out in Sicily Monday night, including one at landfill that produced poisonous fumes, according to the Italian Fire Brigade. More than 1,500 people have been evacuated from the affected region, and several homes have been damaged. Palermo's Falcon Borsellino Airport was closed for several hours on Tuesday due to the fires, but reopened later in the morning, with flights for major airlines now being allowed to land and take off with substantial delays. More than 50 longfin pilot whales died overnight after they were stranded on a beach in Western Australia. That's according to wildlife authorities there. The pod was spotted grouping approximately 150 meters off Chains Beach on Tuesday morning. The stranding is then believed to have started in the afternoon local time. Parks and Wildlife Service staff camped on the beach overnight to monitor their welfare. And Russian drones threaten Kyiv, Russia calling them retaliatory measures for what it says were Ukrainian drone strikes on Moscow on Monday. All this as Ukraine's defense minister admitted the summer counteroffensive is behind schedule. Port cities and historic sites nearby are sustaining heavy damage from Russian strikes. Greg Polcutt has the story.
Russian missiles and drones destroying historic sites in the Odessa region. Cleanup continues at the Transfiguration Cathedral. Damaged icons lay on floors as nuns pray outside. These attacks mark the first time Odessa's city center has been hit since the conflict started. Its port, key to the Black Sea grain deal, remained intact until Russia pulled out of the agreement. Missiles and drones struck critical port infrastructure the next day. Attacks on other Ukrainian port facilities near NATO member Romania are Moscow's closest strike to a territory of the U.S.-led alliance. Some believe the buildings in this latest round of damage were close to the Odessa port and hit by accident, but it brings little comfort to residents.
I just drove through places that were destroyed, and not one of these places was some kind of target. It was just peaceful people living there. Shops, supermarkets, a theater, a church.
European Union officials are discussing ways to move grain out of Ukraine.
We have seen absolutely, I would say, criminal bombings that were carried out in the Odessa area in the last few days. All of this clearly shows the extent to which there is a political will to use grain as a weapon, and I believe we must be very firm.
The House of Scientists, a mansion that once belonged to the Tolstoy family, was also hit in this latest round of attacks. And here's your daily dose of cuteness. A tiny deer named Paolo was born at Chester Zoo in England. The rare southern poodoo fawn weighed only 2 pounds at birth and stood a little more than 6 inches tall. He's only expected to grow another foot in total, as poodoos are the world's smallest species of deer. Paolo is part of a conservation breeding program to protect the near-threatened species. And Paris 2024 unveils the Olympic torch ahead of next year's Summer Games. The creator says the torch was designed to imitate the reflection of the Eiffel Tower on the ruffled surface of the Seine River and convey a peaceful energy. A video presentation shown on Tuesday revealed the unique design of the torch, which will be lit on April 26 next year at Greece's ancient Olympia, the birthplace of the Olympic Games. It'll arrive in the Mediterranean port city of Marseille on May 8th and continue its journey through several cities and sites, including the Pantheon in Paris. Its final destination will be at the opening ceremony in the French capital. They say at BK, you can have it your way. Now Burger King in Thailand has introduced a burger with just meat. This comes after its cheese-only burger went viral earlier this month. The real meat burger comes on a bun filled with 3 beef patties. It is plain with no other toppings or sauces and costs about $10. But customers can add as many beef patties as they like for about $3 per extra patty. And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Well, we are definitely in the throes of summer with hot temperatures and temperatures around 100 degrees in the afternoon. Right now, though, still pleasant out there at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, just outside of Seneca, Missouri, as the sun starts to come up across the area. And that sun's going to get to work. Yesterday, it made it up to 100 degrees. A low was only 83, which was way above the normals of 91 and 70. In fact, not too far away from the record set back a year ago on this date of 107, and of course we're still behind on the rainfall for both the month and for the year. Heat advisories are already in effect for our northern counties, and the heat advisories are going to be expanded into our entire area today, except for Benton County in northwestern Arkansas. So if you want some relief, I guess you could go down to Benton County later on this afternoon. We do have an isolated sprinkle and shower activity going on in southern Dade County and southern Lawrence County and northern Berry County around Monette, extending on over towards Jenkins, and that is about it. Not a whole lot going on. In fact, a lot of that's probably not even reaching the ground. 82 in Chanute right now, same thing in Lamar, 83 in Nevada, 83 in Carson. So we're already jump starting on the temperatures this morning, 79 in Jay and in Nowata for some of the coolest readings. And when you factor in the temperature and the dew point later on today, this is what it's going to feel like. Over 100, 108 in Fort Scott, Nevada and Stockton, 107 in Lamar. It's going to be brutal out there. And then when you add in the wind, it's going to feel like a blast furnace out there. And then tomorrow, it's going to be feeling like 105, 106 across the area again tomorrow, even close to 110 in Nevada and in Stockton. So it's going to be brutal for the next couple of days. And as a result, heat advisories are in effect for southeastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma. That goes until tonight until 9 o'clock. Southwestern Missouri, the heat advisory is in effect until Friday. So don't worry though, northeast Oklahoma and southeast Kansas is also going to have the heat advisory extended as well. Rain chances are going to be on the low side, excuse me, for the next several days. Any rain that does fall is going to be very light, maybe a tenth or two at the most, especially up towards the north and east, as ridge of high pressure is going to be in control for the next several days. In fact, it's going to be expanding, and as it does, it'll be moving towards the east over us, and that's why we're going to be sitting under this pressure cooker. And then as it starts to retreat back towards the west, we'll get a little bit cooler as we go into the next part of next week, and that's when the rain chances start to increase just a little bit. But no rain chances really today, just isolated storms possible, mainly to the south and east with a high near 100. Then tonight, mostly fair with lows in the 70s, near 80 degrees once again. Tomorrow, a repeat of today. Isolated storms possible, mainly down in Oklahoma, generally around 100 degrees. And then as we go into Friday morning, lows in the upper 70s to around 80. Friday afternoon, hot once again, here highs near 100. And then as we look at the next 7 days, the heat just continues to build over the next several days, all the way until next week when we finally get a chance of showers on next Thursday. All right, we'll be right back. But first, let's take a live look at the fair in Labette County over in Oswego, Kansas.
Quality, compassionate, affordable care.
Well, nearly 70 years after 14-year-old Emmett Till was accused of whistling at a white woman in rural Mississippi and then abducted, tortured, and murdered, the Biden administration is establishing a national monument paying tribute to the Till family and shining a light on this part of American history. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
On what would have been Emmett Till's 82nd birthday, the White House honored the 14-year-old's memory and his mother's with a national monument to cement their place in history.
We add another chapter to the story of remembrance and healing.
Till's cousin, Reverend Wheeler Parker Jr., was at the White House Tuesday and with Till in Mississippi in 1955 when he was abducted at gunpoint.
Taken to be tortured, brutally murdered.
Till's mother, Mamie Till Mobley, chose to have an open casket funeral for her son, the public viewing of his mutilated body helping to galvanize the civil rights movement.
She said, "Let the people see what I've seen. Let the people see what I have seen."
Chicago's Roberts Temple Church of God in Christ, where Till's funeral took place, is one of the new monument's 3 sites. The other 2 are in Mississippi, where Till's body was recovered, and the courthouse, where his killers were acquitted by an all-white jury.
This is history we shouldn't ever have to learn, but it did happen.
Alan Spears of the National Parks Conservation Association worked on the national monument designation.
What is your hope for people visiting?
My hope for people visiting the site is to learn more about this tragedy and then the resilience of people like Mamie Till Mobley and the other foot soldiers in the civil rights movement who didn't run away from this tragedy, but instead took the resilience to move forward with the quest for civil rights and human rights in this country.
Spears says remembering painful parts of America's history will ultimately help the nation heal. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
Till's family and preservationists are raising money to restore each of the sites for inclusion in the national park system. We'll be right back.
An eligible vehicle. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
There's a special day to honor our mothers in May and our fathers in June and even our grandparents in September. But did you know there's also a day set aside to celebrate aunts and uncles? That's right. National Aunt and Uncles Day is today, July 26th. Parents' siblings often show their nieces and nephews a lot of love and attention growing up. They can be someone children really look up to and trust. So on this day, be sure to reach out to your favorite aunt or uncle. Let them know you're grateful for the happy memories you share and the value they've added to your life. And here's a way to make your hump day a bit more festive. Celebrate Bagel Fest. That's right, Wednesday marks National Bagel Fest Day. It's really up to you if you want to go with an old standby or perhaps try a new bagel flavor. And there are plenty to choose from. Or maybe you want to top it with something different or toast it to a different softness. The possibilities are endless, and bagels are pretty easy to find from bakeries to your local grocer. You probably already know they're associated with Jewish cuisine, but did you know they were brought to the U.S. by Polish immigrants? They first came to New York, whose residents will still tell you they have the best bagels in the U.S. That, though, has yet to be scientifically proven.
All right, right now this morning we have a few showers on radar over in southern Lawrence County around Monette and northern and eastern parts of Berry County. Those showers are going to be dissipating as we go through the morning hours. The sun is definitely not going to be dissipating. It's going to be getting stronger as we go through the day. 10 on the UV index, which is about 10 to 15 minutes of burn time. So make sure you have the hat, the sunglasses, and of course a high SPF on the sunscreen. Find some shade, a tall glass of lemonade or tea, and be sure to limit your time outdoors if at all possible. Be sure to check on the elderly and make sure that your pets outside have plenty of water as well. Taking a look at the forecast today, we're going to see mostly fair skies with a high temperature of 101 degrees. And as we go through the lunchtime period, 95, 99 at 2 o'clock, and still around 100 degrees at 4 o'clock this afternoon and evening. And looking down the lane, we are going to see that heat dome building, increasing humidity as well, low rain chances, and then a little bit cooler as we head towards the latter part of next week. We'll have more news and weather when we come back.
Right now at 6, an animal shelter in Coffeyville is accused of doing some horrific things.
And we have horrific heat building across the area. We do have a few showers this morning. I'll let you know how hot it's going to get in your forecast.
And authorities in Joplin respond to a suspicious package call from a law firm.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane, standing in for the vacationing Chris Warner, who hopefully is finding something cool to do, as this week is going to be a scorcher out there with temperatures over 100 degrees. This morning we do have a few clouds, and believe it or not, we actually have a few showers. Can you believe it? Mainly off towards the east in southern Lawrence County and northeastern Berry County this morning. A lot of this may not even be reaching the ground, but at least we have a little something out there, and also a little bit of cloudiness to help take some of the heat away this morning. But this afternoon, the sun is going to be coming out and we're going to be warming up rapidly. The UV index is going to be on the very high scale today, 10, which is about 10 to 15 minutes of burn time, so make sure you're taking plenty of precautions. Temperatures right now are already in the 80s to start off the day. 81 in Miami and Veneta, 80 in Chitopa, 79 cooler degrees up in Iola, but that's really not all that cool for this time of morning. 79 in Independence, Nowata, and Jay. Meanwhile, it's 83 already in Nevada and in Carthage. This afternoon, we're going to see temperatures rising into the 90s, into the low 100s. 101 for your high today, and around lunchtime, 95, 99 at 2, and 4 o'clock at 100 degrees. And looking down the lane, the heat just keeps building, along with increasing humidity, low rain chances. But we do have some cooler weather maybe late next week, and of course I'll have more details on that in just a bit. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Sam. Unnecessary euthanasia and improper disposal of animals. Those are only 2 of the accusations former employees of a Coffeyville animal shelter have against the current Coffeyville Friends of Animals director. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has the story, and we want to warn you, some of the following images and descriptions might be disturbing for some people.
The images are blurry because they might be disturbing for some people. It shows multiple dogs and at least 1 kitten decomposing inside an unplugged freezer. According to former employees of the Coffeyville Animal Shelter, the bodies were there for about 8 months.
The incinerator being broke, she wouldn't even put them in the fridge. She would put them in the pasture outside, and they were just decomposing. Even when the incinerator was fixed, she didn't take them out of that freezer and put them in the incinerator. She just let them continue to rot.
The person Chelsea is referring to is Oksana Watley, director of the Coffeyville Friends of Animals. Chelsea says that on a specific occasion, even though the shelter's incinerator was working, her former boss asked her to dump an euthanized dog.
She said, I think I might just have Cody, and could you help Cody take him to the river? And that's how she said it. She mumbled, like mouthed the words, whispered it, and I just kind of stared at her and I like, you did not just ask me that.
The former employees say the improper disposal of animals started in the second half of last year when Oksana became the director. They also say that animals were euthanized unnecessarily.
She would put them down just at if she thought they weren't going to make it, even though they had an eye booger or something, you know. She just kept coming up with reasons.
When we got litters of puppies and kittens in, she would euthanize them without even testing them to see if they were sick.
They tried contacting board members of the shelter and the city of Coffeyville officials, but no action was taken. The former workers also say donations they needed, like food, colors, and toys, would be thrown away.
We tried contacting the shelter via Facebook, email, and phone calls, but couldn't get a hold of them, even though the Facebook messages appear as read.
A person at the shelter say they were told not to comment on the case. In Coffeyville, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
We reached out to the Kansas Department of Agriculture, which is responsible for licensing animal shelters in the state. They said they received complaints about the Coffeyville Friends of Animals and that the animal facility inspection program is following the established complaint process. KOAM also tried reaching out to the city of Coffeyville, but have not heard back from them. Authorities arrest a Parsons, Kansas woman on multiple drug charges. The Parsons, Kansas Department conducted a probationary search of a residence owned by Trinity Dawn Pratt on Monday. When officers arrived, they discovered methamphetamine and drug paraphernalia associated with the sales and distribution of narcotics. Trinity Pratt, who was on probation for prior drug charges, was arrested and is now facing additional charges. Joplin police respond to a suspicious package call from a law firm Tuesday afternoon. The business and nearby residences were evacuated from that area. Springfield Fire Department bomb squad arrived around 5:30 p.m. and used X-ray equipment to investigate the package. The scene was cleared to all traffic at 6:15 p.m. Authorities charged a former Commerce, Oklahoma police officer after allegedly damaging property at a Knoll, Missouri bar. The incident happened July 8th. At that time, 32-year-old Christopher Chase of Miami worked for the Commerce Police Department. Authorities say Chase was at Shadow Lake, a bar in Knoll, when he threw a bar stool across the club against a wall near employees. Police were called and Chase was arrested. Authorities also say while in the patrol car, Chase began striking his head against the car and needed to be restrained. A week later, Chase resigned from his position at the department. Chase is now charged with first-degree property damage, fourth-degree assault, trespassing, and resisting arrest. To be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, veterans in Mount Vernon, Missouri are experiencing Christmas a little early this year. The Mount Vernon VA, in collaboration with Carthage VFW Post 2590, as well as other organizations, put on a Christmas in July for veterans. Santa, Mrs. Claus, and many elves were all in attendance to make sure all veterans got the gifts they deserve.
Well, the people that run this is the ones that really need a blessing because they look out for us and take care for us of medical needs and that. So that's where my biggest accomplishment comes from, thanking them.
The VFW, in collaboration with other organizations, was able to raise more than $6,000 to make yesterday's festivities possible. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, what's good for the community is also good for the volunteer.
Volunteering doesn't just benefit others in need, it can also be good for your own health. I'm Michael George with a new study showing what young people gain by giving back.
Plus, anyone looking to get rich still has a chance as the Mega Millions drawing produces no winner and the jackpot climbs to nearly $1 billion. And meteorologist Sam Lane returns with another look at your forecast and just how many more days the 4 states can expect triple-digit heat. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. But first, here's a live look from Lebec County Fair in Oswego, Kansas.
The kids at your parents.
2023.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, the Mega Millions lottery says no one matched the winning numbers for its jackpot on Tuesday. That means the fund now grows to an estimated $910 million, with the cash option of just over $464 million. If won, this would be the 5th largest jackpot in Mega Millions history. The next drawing is on Friday. While no one won the jackpot, dozens of other ticket holders did manage to match enough balls to win a prize, including one person in Texas who matched all 5 white balls and the mega plier to win $4 million. And an Ohio high school student was honored Tuesday for helping stop a possible mass shooting at his high school. Casey Orlowski received 2 awards, the inaugural National Student Hero Award from the Uvalde Foundation for Kids and the first ever Safety Standout Award by the Ohio Student Safety Advisory Council and Governor Mike DeWine. They were presented during the Ohio School Safety Summit in Columbus. Authorities say Orlowski noticed a bullet in one of the restrooms at West Una High School on April 3rd and alerted a school resource officer. Another student's book bag was searched and a gun and 3 fully loaded magazines were found. Areas of green slime have been found in parts of Lake Taneycomo in Taneycomo, Missouri. What's causing the growth is unclear, but the Missouri Department of Natural Resources says it's happened before. Nick Kelly has the latest.
One report over the weekend prompted officials from several state environmental agencies to come down to the lake this morning and collect samples for testing. The Environmental Services Program Director said collectors noticed green algae, water meal, and another possible substance in the water. While thorough tests will identify exactly what's in the water, Forsyth resident Dan Parrish and others are happy to see action being taken.
Several of our neighbors we've been talking about it obviously since this problem started around May, mid-May, early June, and we've seen it progressively get worse as we progress through the summer months.
With samples of Lake Taneycomo in hand, testing can get underway. Results could be back in as little as 24 to 48 hours. And an investigation is underway in Montana after a noose was found hanging on a light pole near the Lyle Lovett Band's tour bus. It happened in downtown Billings over the weekend. The band reportedly performed at the Alberta Bear Theater Sunday night. Billings Mayor Bill Cole said it is being investigated as a hate incident. On Tuesday, police on Long Island wrapped up their search at the home of the Gilgo Beach murder suspect. Investigators described a massive amount of evidence. Errol Barnett reports materials were not only taken from the house, but also dug up in the backyard.
After days of painstaking searching, authorities say they've collected all they can.
We have obtained a massive amount of material, all of which has to be cataloged and analyzed, and it's going to take quite some time.
District Attorney Ray Tierney could not rule out the possibility this small home where accused killer Rex Heuermann lived with his wife and kids may have also been a crime scene. The 12-day search involved specialists in bodysuits, cadaver dogs, excavators, and ground-penetrating radar, gathering both tangible and trace evidence, which ranges from 279 guns to hair fibers, blood, and DNA. Investigators say they also found a walk-in vault with an iron door in the basement where most of the guns were found.
The cause of death with regard to the 3 victims has been categorized as homicidal violence.
Today, the DA said the house is being returned to Heuermann's wife, who along with their kids was initially forced out with nothing but the clothes on their backs. The DA says they were out of town during alleged crimes. Heumann was charged with killing 3 women but has pleaded not guilty. He is the prime suspect in a 4th death. Also tonight, a former employee who worked with Heumann at his Manhattan office said in a New York Magazine article that he liked to hire young and petite women and once referred to a client as, quote, a target in sight. Errol Barnett, CBS News, Massapequa Park, New York.
Another standout detail, Heuermann's DNA was not yet been shared with the national database. The DA says that's because he has not yet been convicted, which New York law requires before a suspect's biosignature can be entered. The next court hearing for Heuermann is August 1st. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now here's Sam Lane with a look at your forecast.
All right, we're expecting mostly fair skies this morning, including Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. We are seeing very hot temperatures, just like yesterday. 100 degrees was the high, 83 was the low, which is not really much of a low. Look at how far above the averages that is, 91 and 70. Of course, we weren't near the record of 107 set last year at this time, 56 back in 2004. That'd sure feel nice. We're also way behind on the rainfall for both the month and for the year. We do have some rain on radar this morning, but it's down in Berry County, northern Berry County, just south and east of Monette. South of the highway there between Monette and Jenkins, northeast of Purdy and southwest of Aurora. This activity is slowly weakening as it drifts off towards the south. We're seeing temperatures this morning already warm in the 80s and 70s, upper 70s and low 80s. Right now 83 in Joplin and Carthage as well as Stockton. So that's just setting the stage for hot temperatures later today. You can see it's going to feel like well over 100 later on this afternoon. We'll be back when we come back with more news and weather right after this.
Stop in Joplin.
Well, friends, we are definitely in the dog days of summer with lots of heat across not only our area, but a large part of the country, including Seneca, Missouri, down at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Mostly fair skies this morning, a few clouds, which is going to help out a little bit this morning. But as we look over the last 36 hours, it's been toasty. 90s before that. Then yesterday we did reach 100. And look at the lows. The lows have not really been dropping all that much. And that's because of the cloud cover associated with some showers down in southwestern Missouri. Right now, let's zoom in on that activity. You can see one shower near Pleasant Ridge, between Pleasant Ridge and McDowell. This is in northern Berry County. A lot of this is probably not even reaching the ground as it's very dry. What is reaching the ground is lots of heat. Temperatures in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees right now, 82 in Nevada. Same thing in Lamar, 83 in Carthage, as well as Joplin, 80 down in Cassville. Meanwhile, it's in the 70s down in Oklahoma and Nowata and in Jay. But later on today, when you factor in the temperature and the dew point together, this is what it's going to feel like, 106 to 108 up towards the north in Fort Scott, Nevada, and in Stockton. And tomorrow, about the same. In fact, even hotter, 109 in Nevada and Stockton is what it's going to feel like tomorrow afternoon. So it's definitely going to be a scorcher. As a result, heat advisories are in effect for all of our area except for Benton County in northwestern Arkansas. So they lucked out a little bit on that. Rain chances are going to be low. Not zero, but they're going to be low, just very few and isolated here and there. And any rain that does fall will generally be around a tenth or two, especially up towards the north and east, where they could pick up a little bit more chances of precipitation around the peripheral edge of this high pressure that's just building over the central plains. And as a result of it building over us, the temperature is just going to continue to increase for the next several days, well over 100 degrees for several days in a row. And we have to wait for this ridge to start breaking down and moving back towards the west before we get a little bit of a break. Temperatures this afternoon, about 100 degrees across the entire area. Isolated showers at best. Then tonight, mostly fair with lows in the 70s. And then tomorrow, again, around 100 degrees for the high. Maybe some isolated storms, better chance down in Oklahoma. Then as we go into Friday morning, lows in the 70s and 80s. And then Friday afternoon, again, temperatures in the upper 90s to around 100 degrees. And then as we go into Saturday morning, lows generally in the mid 70s across the area. How about the next 7 days? Well, alert day in effect for today, tomorrow, and Friday with highs above 100 degrees all the way until next Wednesday. And then as we go into Thursday, a slight chance of storms with a high of 97, and then a little bit cooler as we go into Friday with a high of 94. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, a nasal swab in children with sinusitis can help reduce unnecessary antibiotic use. Researchers at the University of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania say testing the swab for 3 types of bacteria can show if antibiotics will be effective or not, because sinusitis is sometimes caused by a virus. They also found the color of the nasal discharge, yellow or green, does not help identify a bacterial infection. Exercises that engage muscles without movement, like planks and wall sits, are best for lowering blood pressure. That's according to a new analysis of clinical trials published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine. The study found other types of exercise, like resistance training and cardio, are still good, but not as effective. Researchers say new recommendations for controlling blood pressure may be needed. And an artificial intelligence is improving risk predictions for death from several diseases, including lung cancer. Researchers at Vanderbilt University developed an AI algorithm to assess low-dose CT scans of the lungs. It creates a body composition measurement, which is a percentage of fat, muscle, and bone. They found patients with abnormal measurements were at greater risk of death from lung cancer, cardiovascular disease, and other causes. As the U.S. grapples with a youth mental health crisis, a study finds an interesting approach to better well-being. Children and teenagers who volunteer in their community don't just help others, they may also be improving their own health. Michael George met with a teenager who's knitting her way to happiness.
That's a down one.
Penelope Segerdahl is learning to stitch away stress.
It's been amazing, honestly. It's the highlight of my week.
There it is.
As a volunteer at the nonprofit DeRote, the New York high school student is matched with Laura Lerman for weekly visits and knitting lessons. The organization's mission is to alleviate social isolation for older adults, but Segerdahl quickly discovered the visits lifted her mood too.
In the winter, when the sun starts setting earlier, I tend to get like a little sadder because there's not that much sun, and then everything just kind of like goes downhill. But I mean, this winter I wasn't really feeling that.
A national survey of American children and teenagers finds those who do volunteer work are in better physical health and more likely to flourish, and less likely to experience anxiety, depression, or behavioral problems.
We often hear, "This has changed my life."
DeRote's Shai Rosenfeld sees the results firsthand.
They report, right, on feeling useful, feeling valued, feeling like they're a bigger part of the community, feeling like they have a better sense of who they are, all these sort of benchmarks of well-being.
The well-being of America's young people is now a top concern for the U.S. Surgeon General, who warned in June of a youth mental health crisis.
It now threatens the foundation for health and well-being for millions of our children.
For Penelope, volunteering is a break from the pressures of adolescence.
I get to go knit after school and kind of just cleanse my mind.
A powerful example of how giving to others can be a gift to yourself as well. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The drama study comes at a difficult time for youth mental health. During the pandemic, the CBC found more than 40% of high school students felt sad or hopeless. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We have a few showers this morning down to the south and east in northern Barry County, south and east of Monette. Zooming in on that activity, you can see a few showers near Jenkins. Right now, this is all going to be dissipating as we go through the afternoon hours. Also just to the east of Cassville a little bit, but at least it's something. We have lots of sunshine to go around for everyone today, as we're going to see the UV index very high today, 10, which means it's not going to take very long before you start to burn, so make sure you have the SPF high on the sunscreen. Also have a hat, sunglasses. Find the shade and limit your time outdoors. Be sure to check on the elderly, as well as make sure those pets are watered as well. Temperatures right now are in the 70s and lower 80s already, so we don't really have that much to go to get into the 90s and 100s. In fact, that's our forecast for high today, 101 with lots of sunshine. Around lunchtime, 95 degrees, 99 at 2, 100 at 4 o'clock. And looking down the lane, we have the building heat dome, and then also increasing humidity and dew points, making it feel more uncomfortable out there. Low rain chances, maybe a little bit cooler as we go into the forecast later on next week. But of course, we have plenty of time to worry about that. In the meantime, we're going to have lots of days of 100 plus temperatures. So definitely make sure that you take it easy out there in the outside. We'll be back with more news and weather right after this.
At Roper Honda.
Right now at 6:30, what some Southwest Missouri doctors and athletic trainers are doing to prepare for sudden cardiac arrest incidents.
We have a few showers on radar this morning, but we have lots of heat to talk about in your forecast. We'll have all of the details.
And the Joplin School Board approves the addition of a crosswalk at Joplin High School.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:31. I'm Tanya Bach.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane, standing in for the vacationing Chris Warner, who hopefully is enjoying his time off. He needs a cool spot, that's for sure, with temperatures over 100 degrees.
Can we blame him on the heat?
We sure can, and I think we're going to. It's all Chris Warner's fault. We do have a few showers on radar this morning, though, so that's good, but they're down in Berry County and also maybe over there in McDonald County a little bit, but that's about it. Not a whole lot to go around for a lot of folks, just maybe a sprinkle or two around Jenkins right now and also Monette. We're going to have lots of sunshine to go around for everybody today. As a matter of fact, we're going to be looking at very high on the UV index, which means that it's not going to take much time before you start to burn. So make sure you're taking the precautions, hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, find the shade. Also be sure to check on the elderly as they're more susceptible to the heat, and also make sure you stay hydrated and limit your time outside. It's already in the 80s across the area, 83 in Joplin, 83 in Carthage, 82 in Nevada, 83 in Stockton, and upper 70s elsewhere, 79 in Yates Center, as well as Sedan. A little bit cooler down in Jay where there's currently 77. But this afternoon, it's going to be toasty. Around 101 for your afternoon high, 95 at lunchtime, 99 at 2 o'clock, and around 100 still at 4 o'clock this evening. And looking down the lane, we have the heat dome building, which means the temperatures are going to be going up. The humidity is going to be increasing as well. Low rain chances, maybe a little bit cooler next week with the break in the ridge. We'll have more details on that in your forecast in just a little bit, Tanya.
All right, thanks, Sam. A close call for NBA star LeBron James's family after his son, LeBron Jr., was hospitalized after collapsing during practice with sudden cardiac arrest. Michael Hoffman reports on how Southwest Missouri doctors and athletic trainers prepare for these types of life-threatening emergencies.
External defibrillators, AEDs. This is the tool that saves people's lives. And this is likely what led to LeBron James Jr.'s survival.
18-year-old LeBron James Jr., or Bronny, is an incoming freshman basketball player at USC. While in practice, he collapsed, and according to sources, he was revived and is now out of the intensive care unit. Doctors around the Ozarks say while the odds of this happening to your student athletes may be low, there are some things you need to do outside of the regular physical exam.
Just understanding the issues, the exercise-related chest pain, shortness of breath, dizziness, feeling like you're going to pass out or passing out with sports, and then knowing that family history is going to be very important from the patient standpoint.
And from a trainer standpoint, like those in Stratford, easy access to an AED is vital.
Personally, I carry an AED with me to every event I go. And we also go in our schooling, as well as with our employment, we have to have CPR and AED training every 2 years.
Moreland says he and the rest of the coaching staff are trained in CPR, first aid, and how to use an AED. That being said, he says the fight starts with understanding your medical history.
Unless you've had those, medical tests or screens done, you'll have no idea, and then you find out after the fact. And that's why you have people like me at those high schools, is so that you have somebody that's trained that can get them the care that they need so that they can get to the hospital.
If you have any concerns about you or your student athlete's heart health, consult your doctor or one that has an understanding of your family history about what the best course of action is. Joplin School Board on Tuesday approved the addition of a crosswalk near the high school. The crosswalk will be added to the 20th Street adjacent to the school. Officials say the safety of students crossing that street has been a concern for some time.
Of multiple students crossing 20th Street at different locations and the danger that was causing, both for traffic that was transferring there, but also as those students were crossing back and forth, maybe not making the best decisions that they could make as they were continuing to travel across.
The project is expected to cost more than $38,000. The district will pay for half of that cost, with the city covering the other half. The board also approved upgrades to the district's security systems following 3 break-ins at district facilities in the past 4 months. On Tuesday, some area kids learned a bit about what it's like to be a member of law enforcement. The Jasper County Sheriff's Office held a junior deputy camp. It started with demonstrations from K-9 officers, and then the junior deputies went to the shooting range and received lessons on responsible firearm use and gun safety.
Hopefully that they'll come out of it realizing that everything that people say about cops is not true, that we're people just like everybody else, and we've got a job to do, and we try to do it the best that we can with the tools that we've got.
The day ended with a demonstration of the dangers of driving while impaired with the help of drunk goggles. They also learned how to perform field sobriety tests. Vacation Bible School at St. Paul Church is hosting an event that's out of this world. It's called Stellar Shine Jesus' Light. And this event features a lot of simulated space-like activities such as a crash landing on the moon and other science projects. One of the main focuses on Tuesday, how to handle situations where people do not get along. The Vacation Bible School continues through Friday at noon. And a local Children's Miracle Network champion is beating the heat by making a summer treat. Freeman Health System partnered with Dairy Queen to allow CMN champion Layla Harrell to make her own blizzard. It's part of their Miracle Treat Day. The ice cream Layla created, mint chocolate chip.
I never thought I would get this far. I thought it was oh, cool, I get a service dog. That's amazing, that's great. I didn't think that it came along with all these other amazing opportunities that I would get to do. I got to speak and tell people more about diabetes.
Well, this coming Thursday, $1 from every Dairy Queen Blizzard purchase is donated to Freeman Health System. Nearly $20,000 has been raised locally for young Freeman patients since 2019. Cherokee County Fair is underway in Columbus, Kansas. It gives young farmers and ranchers the chance to showcase their livestock. On Tuesday, there was a dog showmanship, an obedience showcase, and the pedal pull. There were also Girl Scouts at the fair to sell their treats and help prepare for the fair. To them, the social aspect is what makes the fair fun. Now, the fair's not just about the animals. People also enjoyed inflatables and carnival food. The Community Health Center of Northeast Oklahoma hosted a community market and resource fair. It gave folks the chance to stop by and get healthy food from the Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma. Along with the food, there was also resources for others to learn about what the area offers.
So we're just a regular doctor's office that is federally funded, and so we're able to provide care to those that don't have insurance, or if they're lower income, we're able to do a sliding scale basis.
The fair was at the First Christian Church in Miami. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. The country may be close to avoiding what many financial experts call one of the largest and costliest strikes in American history. We've got the details.
We've got lots of fair skies out there, a few clouds and also a few showers, but the real heat is going to start building. I'll have the forecast. But first, here's a live look from Labette County Fair in Oswego, Kansas. We'll be back.
In Consumer Watch this morning, there's a tentative contract between agreements with UPS and its more than 340,000 Teamsters union workers. The deal avoids what many predicted would be one of the largest and costliest strikes in American history. Details include higher wages, workplace protections, and more trucks with air conditioning. The CDC is investigating a multi-state salmonella outbreak that's been linked to ground beef. No deaths have been reported, but at least 16 people have gotten sick. 6 of them were hospitalized. The CDC warns beef should be cooked to an internal temperature of 160 degrees and that all surfaces and utensils, including hands, that come in contact with raw beef should be washed with soap and water. And TikTok announced it will now allow users to post text-based messages. The popular Chinese-owned app that's best known for short videos said in a statement that it's, quote, expanding the boundaries of content creation for everyone on TikTok, end quote. It comes as billionaire Elon Musk unveiled Twitter's rebrand into X this week. Since the pandemic, restaurants have found it difficult to recruit and retain employees. A pizza shop called A Slice of New York lies in the heart of California's Silicon Valley and has baked up a new business model. Len Ramirez shows how everyone gets an equal slice of the pie.
There is something very different about this pizza place. And it goes beyond their award-winning pies. It's about the people. In fact, everyone in this kitchen owns an equal slice of the business.
We're a worker co-op, which means all the members and owners of the business work in the business.
Kirk Vartan started the business 17 years ago. 6 years ago, he turned it into a co-op by selling the business to his staff as a leveraged buyout. The employee owners are now paying back a business loan with the profits of the company, and they all run the shop as a board of directors.
It's not just a job, it's our baby.
This was Colin Webster's first job when he turned 18 10 years ago. He now chairs the board.
There's a stigma against people that work in the service industry. Like when I tell people, I'm like, no, I own a business and I make more money than some of my friends who went to college.
It's not a new business model, but it is getting a lot more attention after the pandemic wiped out many small businesses. One customer called it a better experience.
This model works. It works from a customer service level, in terms of employee retention. 1, 2, 3.
But it wouldn't work for anyone unless the end product is good.
The proof is in the pizza.
And these long lines at dinner time means consumers and the workers are both getting what they want. Len Ramirez, CBS News, San Jose.
The pizza shop has vacation times, a family leave policy, and a 401k. That's it for Consumer Watch. Now let's take it over to Sam Lane with another look at your forecast.
All right, we have a few showers right now on radar, but they're really starting to dissipate just a little bit as we go through the morning hours. We're going to zoom in on that activity in Berry County, now near Jenkins, or just south and west of Jenkins, south of McDowell and east of Butterfield. It's sinking towards the south, maybe a little sprinkle activity up near Purdy and Monette. We are seeing temperatures in the 70s and 80s already, so we're going to be warming rapidly up into the 90s and even to the low 100s later on this afternoon. In fact, it's going to feel like 106 in Pittsburgh, 108 in Fort Scott, Nevada, and in Stockton. A little bit cooler over in Cassville, where it'll feel like 102, but it's going to be a toaster of a day out there. And then tomorrow, basically the same thing with temperatures feeling like well over 100 degrees across the area. We'll have more details in the forecast when we come back in just a little bit. It's also almost time to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. They're up after the break. But first, let's see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, how the country's changing tastes in footwear are stepping into the nation's capital. Why some members of Congress are ditching traditional dress shoes and lacing up sneakers instead. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
All right, we're going to kick off our birthdays on this 26th of July with Fisher Kate Hirschman, who's turning 1 year old today in Nevada, Missouri. Happy birthday from Mommy and Daddy Fisher.
And we have Justin Moore just down the road here, turning 51 in Crestline. Happy birthday to you, Justin.
And over in Croburg, Kansas, Mel Davis celebrating birthday number 83 this year. And check out that catch.
And Tony and Dina Daniels are celebrating their 37th anniversary over in Cherryvale, Kansas. Happy anniversary to you both. Hope you have a great one.
That's a great picture of them.
That is a great picture.
All right, our birthday list goes on. Lillian Atterbury celebrating birthday number 89 this year in Columbus.
And Jocelyn Bunce turning 16 years old today. Time to get the driver's license over there in Joplin, Missouri. So happy birthday to you, Jocelyn.
All right, and our list was a little bit small today.
Yep.
We can fix that. We can fix that.
You can do that by submitting your birthdays to birthdays, and remember the S there, at KOAMnewsnow.com.
All right, or you can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up, and once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com. Sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
And if you're going to be celebrating your birthday today, it's going to be a hot one out there with lots of sunshine, including Seneca, Missouri with Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Mostly fair skies right now, just a few clouds off in the distance. And we're going to see lots of sunshine this afternoon. As a result, heat advisories are in effect already to our north. We do have a few showers this morning on radar, but they're mainly down in Barry County and also eastern and southern parts of McDonald County. You can see just south of Jenkins, over towards Butterfield, a little sprinkle activity around Monette and Purdy. Temperatures this morning are already in the 80s, 83 in Joplin, Carthage, 83 also in Stockton, a little bit cooler up in Yates Center where they're 79, same thing in Sedan, 80 degrees for our friends down in Veneta. When you factor in the dew point and the humidity today, this is what it's going to feel like. Well over 100, 108 in Nevada, Stockton, 105 in Lockwood, 107 in Lamar, and then tomorrow, carbon copy of today, if anything, a little bit hotter, 109 in Nevada and in Stockton is what's going to feel like, with everyone feeling like over 100 degrees for tomorrow. So as a result, heat advisories are in effect for southwestern Missouri, southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, exception being northwest Arkansas, with Benton County escaping the heat advisory at this current time. Rain chances are going to be low to almost basically zero for the next 36 hours. Where it does sprinkle or create a shower, the amounts are going to be very light, maybe a quarter of an inch, and that is about it. The forecast looks like this. Today, temperatures around 100 degrees for your high, and then tonight we're going to see lows in the 70s, and over the next 7 days we're going to see temperatures well over 100 degrees for the next 3 days in a row, all the way until next Wednesday. So definitely take it easy out there. We'll have more when we come back from the break, so stay with us.
Hero.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Former employees of a Coffeyville animal shelter level accusations of unnecessary euthanasia and improper disposal of animals against the current Coffeyville Friends of Animals director. They accuse their former boss of asking them to dump a euthanized dog, and they also say that animals were euthanized unnecessarily. On Tuesday, the Quapaw Nation Marshal Service executed warrants at a residence on East 15 Road. Officers seized 1.5 pounds of fentanyl and cocaine, 6 firearms, numerous magazines, and $3,200. One man was arrested on a felony warrant for offenses that occurred within the Quapaw Nation reservation boundaries. Joplin School Board on Tuesday approved the addition of a crosswalk near the high school. Crosswalk will be added to the 20th Street adjacent to the school. Officials say the safety of students crossing that street has been a concern for some time. And veterans in Mount Vernon, Missouri are experiencing Christmas a little early this year. The Mount Vernon VA, in collaboration with Carthage VFW Post 2590, as well as other organizations, put on a Christmas in July for veterans. Santa, Mrs. Claus, and many elves were all in attendance to make sure all veterans got the gifts they deserved. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, we're going to be looking at temperatures well over 100 degrees as you head out the door today. So an alert day is in effect for today, tomorrow, and Friday. And look at the string of 100s, Tanya. All the way until next Wednesday, we're looking at temperatures over 100 degrees and slightly cooler on Thursday with a chance of showers, and cooler still on Friday with a high of only 94. Only 94.
Well, it's summer, I guess.
That's right.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making teriyaki chicken thighs in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. A new study says the summer heat might not only get worse in the years to come. Coming up on CBS Mornings, the role climate change is playing in the record-breaking temperatures and what can be done to help cool the planet.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14. Where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, we've got a pair of interviews with Special Olympics Kansas coming up. Lieutenant Chris Moore from the Pittsburgh Police Department and Steve Anthony are dropping by to tell us all about a golf scramble.
Sounds fun. Plus, Olivia Ryan and Ashley Groves hit the studio to tell us all about a sip and shop fashion show, all to benefit Special Olympics Kansas.
That sounds fun.
But that's going to wrap it up for us this morning. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.